How to get a raise as an employee. Using this tactic and evaluating your current situation, I'm going to show you how you can get a raise 100% of the time. Let's face it, you've probably gone into your boss's office and you know it's that time of the year in which you can start to ask for a raise and you're usually disappointed. Usually it's less than you expected or it's nothing at all. And you say, hey, I've been showing up on time. I've been doing everything you said I needed to do. What else do I need to do to get a raise? And I'm going to tell you today that mindset is never going to get you a raise. Doing the right thing, showing up on time is going to get you minimal to no raises. That is not the solution. The solution is that you're probably at the wrong spot that you're asking for a raise. And let me explain that. You need to become a revenue creator at a company. What is a revenue creator? Well, I'm going to tell you two positions that you need to be at in a company to be able to go in your boss's office and say, hey, I demand a raise, and this is why. And if you don't, I'm going to go somewhere else. And they're going to say, please don't go. Whatever you want, you got it. I'm going to tell you that right now because this is how the world works. My dad used to tell me when I was in high school going into college, he said, Nate, when you go to college and you major in something, let me tell you how the world works. You need to be revenue producing at a company. And what that means is you need to be a money maker, not a money eater. And a money maker can be a money maker or a money saver, right? If you save a company money, you're kind of adding revenue back in. If you're making money for the company in sales, you're adding revenue back in. But a money eater is very subjective to if they're adding value to the company, right? You think of a bank teller, right? They're doing transactions, but is what they're doing really adding more revenue to the bank, right? You have to have somebody there, but it's very easy to find somebody else. If you're paying a decently competitive wage, well, they're only going to give you a raise up to a certain delta because once your raise gets so much higher, you either need to become a manager, you need to have more leadership, but in that role, you're never going to get more. So what I'm going to tell you today is what you need to be is you need to be in two different areas in a business, and these two areas are where people get paid the most. Number one is money makers. Money makers is sales, business development, in a sense, marketing, if you can really kind of point to how money's coming in from a marketing perspective. The issue that I have with marketing is it's very subjective, right? Unless it's an ad that somebody clicks on and money comes directly from it, which is very rare in certain businesses, marketing is very subjective. Sponsoring the T-ball, how much revenue actually was generated from that? The exposure from the billboard sign on the highway, how much revenue was produced from that? It's really hard sometimes to point to the fact that the marketing department is actually pulling their weight from a revenue perspective. But you want to be on the money maker side. That is sales. If I go into my boss's office, and let's say I'm making $50,000 a year, but I produced $400,000 a year in revenue. And you have to factor in that there are some expenses. Look at the average profit margin of the industry that you're in. And if you're saying, okay, I produced 400, I can reasonably say the profit of that is probably going to be about 150. I'm making 50. Okay, so I can rationally see that I've essentially added $100,000 of profit to the company, right? So going in with those statistics is you could say, look, I understand you're paying me 50. I brought in 300 and by the time, or 400, by the time we really kind of break it down, I'm assuming you guys are profiting about 150 off me. All right. Or 100 because I'm making 50 and I understand that. And, I completely get it. You guys are in business to make money. You're profiting off me. You value me as an employee. All I'm asking for is a $10,000 raise. Okay, because you've profited 100, and I really want to continue to work here. I want to feel incentivized, and this is how I really feel incentivized, is that if I make you money, all I'm asking is that you help me in return by paying me more, because I will continue to do so if you do. I want to work hard for you, and all I'm asking for is a little tiny piece of the pie, and moving forward, we can have more of an established pay cycle or pay schedule, right? That type of conversation, pointing to the fact that, hey, Look at the money that I brought in. Look at the profit I brought in. Look at what you're paying me. That type of conversation is way different than somebody saying subjectively, I've been working real hard. It's not about hard work. It's about results work. What that means is if you're providing results for a company that can be easily objective results, that can be easily seen on a scoreboard, you will continue to make more money. But if your role is subjective, we don't know if you're bringing in money. We really kind of know that you've been showing up on time. You've been doing a decent job. Well, that person's not going to get that $10,000, $15,000 raise. They're going to get a cost of living adjustment so they can keep you around, but they're not going to pay you more, so much more that they could easily replace you for a smaller salary, okay? So that's the money maker side. You need to be bringing in money to the company, right? So you need to be leading a sales team, leading a marketing department. Focus on, in a business, whatever industry you're in, how is the money coming in? Who's in charge of it? Who brings it in? That person at that company, any company in the world, I would challenge you in the comments, comment. Any company in the world, a person who makes a lot of money at that company is near sales, near the revenue producing. So be close to revenue producing. Now, I understand that some of you guys are not extroverted, which I think is a myth. I think anybody can be extroverted. Sometimes I don't like to be around people. Sometimes I do, right? But sometimes it's not a choice. It's a decision that I need to be extroverted in a given situation. So I would say if you are not inherently extroverted and inherently outgoing for sales, maybe sales isn't your thing, which I think anybody can learn how to do sales, by the way. But if you don't want to do sales and you're saying, Nate, what is the other route in which I can easily go in and justify a raise? Well, that is on the money saving side, right? Let's say this is the accounting department. The accounting department is looking at the expenses. The accounting department is finding trends in expenses that can be reduced, that can be saved. They're looking at the way they're spending money of buying certain things. Hey, if we buy from this vendor, we could save money on this. So what a money saver would do is they would go into a boss's office and they would say, look, you're paying me $50,000 a year. The reason I'm asking for a raise is because I switched us vendors this year to this. This saved us $120,000 a year. I switched us over here to this. I found this expense that was reoccurring that we weren't using. We pushed this together and collective bargained this and put it where the expense was cut in half. So I saved us about $450,000 from paying these expenses. This is what I've noticed. I did this. I worked with this team. We reduced expenses. We did this. We added $450,000 of essentially profit back in. My salary's $50,000. All I'm asking for is a $10,000 raise because next year I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue to look for ways in which we can cut expenses where cuts need to be made. So when you look at the accounting department, you look at the expense department, you know that I'm there, that I'm incentivized to help us run more efficient. I'm not going to create ways for more expenses. Obviously, I'm not asking for a massive raise. I'm just saying, hey, can you recognize the work that I've done and also recognize that in the future I'm going to do the same exact thing? That conversation, if I'm a boss, I'm going to say, wow, you saved us that much money. That is, I can objectively see that you saved more money than your salary. So essentially the company, you created revenue in a company by saving revenue. Saving revenue is essentially the same thing as creating revenue. He or she saved $450,000, they're paid $50,000. Easily they can justify a $60,000 raise because they saved that much. The company is making more money. The company is profiting off that employee. A lot of employees don't think that. They think that businesses are in business to employ people. Businesses are not in business to employ people. They're in business to make a profit. So what that means is if an employee comes in and that employee is not adding value of at least 1.5 to 2 times their salary, they will be gone. Okay, so you should be helping somebody. So this is the way the companies work. You're either supporting the money makers, and that support should free up our money makers to go out and make more money than what your salary is. If you're paid $40,000, you're saving up, you're an account manager for a money maker, then you should be helping that money maker make more than $40,000 within a year or 2 years. If you're not, then there's no point in keeping you around. And the same thing from the money saver side. is the people that were doing the accounting. Essentially, usually small businesses do their own accounting, right? They have either the owner or somebody at the company who's very high up, and that person is better suited doing other things. So if you can take the accounting off the owner's plate, and that frees the owner up to go make more money doing something else, you go pay a controller $50,000 a year to manage the accounting, to manage the expenses, so the owner can go produce revenue. So the owner can go help produce revenue, support the sales team, do whatever they need to do, create big relationships. So the controller goes and looks and says, hey, the owner wasn't paying that much attention because they were running the company. Their plate was full. We ended up saving this much, and they go back to the owner, and the owner goes, man, thank God I brought on so-and-so. He or she have been doing a great job. They pay attention to that stuff, and they've been adding money back in, so I'm justified that I can able to keep them on staff because they saved us more than their salary. That's how a business works. So many people, they think, well, I'm going to apply for a job. But you need to think, where does that career, really it should be a career, where does my career need to be? Where can I start? Where can I learn? How does the money work at that company? Who am I helping out? Who am I supporting? How can I be supported someday so I can bring in more money to the company? You need to understand how the whole system is created. It's created similar, really like a pyramid. And at the bottom, the people are doing the work, but you need to understand how is the money coming in? How are those people being compensated? Are the people that are bringing in the most money being compensated fairly? Because if they're not, then you need to find another company. Okay, so many people think they're stuck where they're at. And what happens is people aren't stuck where they're at. They're stuck in the role they're at, and they can't justifiably go ask for a raise because their role is subjective. Subjectivity in employee situations is the worst, because there's no way for an employer to really justify giving that person a bigger raise if they don't know what they've produced. Okay, so be a money maker or a money saver. And if right now, probably most of people watching this video are in the money eating world, they're in the money eating role. What that means is they don't know how much money they're bringing in. They don't know the efficiency. They don't know who they're helping. Essentially, their role is subjective. And when your role is subjective, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a massive raise. Okay? And if that's the case, you need to shift to another company and be in a role in which brings money in, because then you can justifiably ask for that raise that you want. We can all debate on how the world should be, that if you do a great job, you should get a raise. But that's not how the world is. The world is not of shoulds. It is of is. The world is a place of money. We live in a capitalistic society if you live in America. If it's capitalism, you need to understand how capitalism works and adapt to the way the world is so you can make more money. So many people aren't adapting. They're saying, well, it's not fair, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you think. The only thing that matters is the way the world is. So focus on the way the world is and take advantage of the opportunities that you have by becoming a money maker or a money saver. My name is Nate Jones. If you like today's content, today's video, I provide a video every single day on entrepreneurship, money, and business ownership. So if you like this type of content, hit like and subscribe. Thank you.